Okay, good day. From the previous lesson, you have learned how to calculate a simple interest. And the formula used to compute for simple interest is I equals P times R times T, where I is the interest, P the present value of money or the principal, R the rate of interest, and T is the time in years or term in years. And to compute for the future value of money or the maturity value, we may use F equals P times quantity 1 plus RT. Or just simply add the present value money to the interest, and that will be the future value money or the final amount or maturity value in a simple interest. Now, today, our topic is compound interest. And at the end of the lesson, you will be able to compute interest, maturity value, and present value in compound interest environment. At the same time, you will be able to solve problems involving compound interest. And the learning outline is number one, we have the maturity value, also called the future value of money or the final amount. And number two is the present value, also called the principal. Okay. Now, before I discuss the maturity value of a compound interest, let us first define compound interest and then um, i-differentiate natin pala yung simple and compound interest. Compound interest interest on a loan is calculated based on both the initial principal and the accumulated interest from previous periods. So, ibig sabihin, ang pag-compute ng ating compound interest is based from the principal plus yung accumulated interest from the previous period. So, ibig sabihin, yung first term, ang magiging base ng interest natin is just the the principal. Well, the second year or second term of the loan, the principal or the computation of the interest will be the principal plus the accumulated or the interest from the previous year. So, ganun ang pag-compute ng compound interest and the final amount. But, kaya nga ito tinatawag nating tubong tumutubo. While yung ating pong simple interest, kino-compute to based from the principal, okay, interest is calculated on the principal portion of a loan or the original contribution to the savings account. So, ibig sabihin, ang basis ng pag-compute ng interest sa simple interest ay yung principal lamang. Hindi na kino-consider yung accumulated interest from previous periods. So, in other words, yung simple interest, constant, okay, throughout the investment term. Pero pag sa compound interest, yung interest from the previous year also earns interest. Kaya nga, yung ating pong sa compound interest, ang interest niya grows every year. Tumataas ng tumataas ang kanyang interest sa susunod na mga taon. Kasi naa-add pa yung principal at saka yung accumulated interest in the computation do sa next year. So, later on, I'm going to give you an illustration para mapakita ko sa inyo o makita ninyo yung pagkakaiba ng future value of a simple interest and compound interest. But for now, I'm going to give you the formulas na sa pag-compute ng compound interest. At the same time, yung future value of money in a compound interest environment, and then yung present value of money in a compound interest environment. For the maturity value or future value or final amount, we use the formula F equals P times quantity 1 plus R closed quantity raised to T, no? Where yung ating P yung present value, F yun yung maturity value, yung sinosolve natin, yung maturity value at the end of the term, R yun yung rate of interest or interest rate, at yung T yun yung term, time in years. Sa pag-compute ng compound interest, we have I sub C equals F minus P. Okay? So, yung I sub C, yun yung ating compound interest, yung F, yung maturity value, yung P, yung ating principal or present value. So, ang kukunin muna natin dito sa compound interest is the future value or maturity value bago makuha natin yung compound interest na si I sub C. Unlike in simple interest, pwede kaagad natin kunin yung simple interest I sub S. Yun ang gagamitin nating notation for simple interest. I sub S equals PRT. Then right after nyo makuha yung I sub S natin, o simple interest, to compute for the future valued money, we can apply this. F equals P plus I sub S, or just the sum of the principal and the interest. Yun ang pag-compute ng ating future valued money pagdating sa simple interest. Or you can use the formula F equals P quantity 1 plus RT. So, based from these two formulas, makikita natin yung ating T dun sa ating simple interest for the future valued money. It's just you're just going to multiply the rate of interest to time and add it to 1, multiplied to P to compute for the future valued money for simple interest. Wherein, pagdating sa future valued money sa compound interest, yung ating time T is naka-raise into an exponent siya. Kaya siya ay exponential, yung ating compound interest. Okay? Now, for the present value of money, or P, gagamitin natin formula is P equals F all over quantity 1 plus R raised to T, or F quantity 1 plus R raised to the negative T. Using law of exponent, kaya naging negative siya. Itinaas lang. P is the principal, F maturity value, R interest rate, and T term or time in years. Sa simple interest, for the present value, we have P equals F over 1 plus R times T. Or P equals 1 I over RT, kung natatandaan niyo pa. Okay? So, for this topic, I'm going to give you 5 examples para matutunan nyo on how to compute compound interest, yung kanyang future value at yung kanyang present value of money. So, thank you.